Alright, it seems we're live again. Check the public stream. There we go. Beautiful. Alright, welcome to the 14th episode in our live coding session. We're building a trivia game. We've been coming a long way. And this is where we left off last week. We have a very nice screen already. We can create a game, we can create multiplayer games, etc. So now we're working on restoring previous games, either to check out the progress of our opponents or to finish the game that we left somewhere. Currently we just retrieved the open games that are there right now. Figured out that's not the right thing to do, but we'll get there in a little bit. Currently we're working on resuming the game to the point that we can continue playing it again. So I have game 88, in which I answered 0 questions at the moment. So if I click on this, you see that there's a follow-up action, resume at game 88, answered 0, for user ID 1, correct 0. That is exactly where we stopped last time. If we take a look at the game semantics to do, we left it here, which is exactly at resume at. So what we're supposed to do right now is to basically bring the game into a state that is playable. We retrieved all the game questions, so if it is correct, we can click right here. Yeah, as you see, there's game questions being retrieved, and we should be getting the questions that are in that game. So that's good. And we know that the player state will be 0 questions answered and stuff like that, right? Just to be sure, yeah, 0 games answered, exactly. So during the game, if you play and you answer a question, it will increment the counter. So what we need to do now is to make the internal state be ready for a game, for the next question really. If we look at the event, it's probably in here, next question. Yeah, next question, what it will do, it will take the first element from the questions key in the database and make that the current question. And then the rest will be the leftovers, and it will update the round to be an increment. So what we need to do, so if you have answer 2, if we set the rounds to 2 and we put all the questions except the first 2 in the questions array, we can call next question, and it will transition the internal state to where we want it to be. And then we also need to go into the ask question view, I guess. Let's see, what was it again? Answer, view, answer, next question. I would expect it in game. Resume, get questions. Let's see, the view, it needs to transition to the view. It's probably in create game where we create game, right, there we go. Ask question. Yeah, so we need to transition into the active page ask question so that everything happens from that context. So I guess from the event, the game event, once we have this resume at, what we do is set internal state round plus questions, and then transition to active page as question, and we call dispatch next question. Right, so we can do the dispatch n as we've done before. We know the follow-up works, so we can remove the print right here. Right, so the database itself, we can destruct this key, right? Say keys db, right? So we don't need to do this nonsense. Back, remove this one. This will just be db, but we will associate some stuff in the db. We will associate the internal state, which is in, let's see, the rounds, right. So we have some, we have state round and questions to be filled, all right. So let's say, so the round will be the same as the answered question, so that's quite easy. So we can just thread the db through assoc in db. What was it? State round, right? State round, and that will be the answered. Move this one here, and answered is the same as answered from player state. Right, so that's that part of the thing. Now we need to pop off the first number of questions from the questions list. Probably there's a closure docs. Would that be a pop? Pop from a list of queue. Peek pop. For a list returns a new list without the first item of for vector returns vector without the last item. Okay. That's not entirely what we want. Closure rest. Maybe something like end rest. Right, so we take end rest of the list. Let's see if that works, right? Because we have this Pira in questions. Entire list. And end list. So if we do end rest, and it takes the collection, so questions, and then we do answered from there. Let's see what happens, right? Let's rip this out. Entire list starts with which one, and the end list, which one as well? Which one of these talented? Let's see if we can just take this. Let's go into closure script REPL. All right, here we have it as well, right? So def data comes this, right? D is this list of things. So let's say we want the first of D. What will it give? All right, the rest of D should give all but that, right? And rest D2 should give 3, right? All right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that's what we expect. So probably the input is wrong. player state. Oh, I have not answered any questions yet, so that's why it doesn't work. So let's assume that this just works, right? Then what we need to do now is to associate questions with and rest questions answered. Right, that would be the DB. Now we do the dispatch N, which is a list of active page ask question, right, and I guess next question, next game, next question, does not take any arguments. All right, so with a little bit of luck, this part now works, and we should get to the game in the first question. Right, almost. No handler for next question, and it is because it's a game next question, right? All right. So we're still in game ID 88. Now let's answer one question. So now if we reset the game, we have one question answered. So that's good, that's good. Why is the view not interesting? So the game, that's good. So now we should, if we click it again, we should enter the game in the state that we have one question answered, 4 remaining, and we have 1 correct and 0 incorrect. So the correct count is off now, but we're at a good state. And of course it's off because the I did not update the state for that, right? State assoc in state correct. Correct. I'm wondering if there's more that I need to add here. Parent player state, right? Reload. There we go. Click this. Do that. Answered correct. That's fine. So now it says I have 1 correct. I'm at 2 of 5. Max rounds is 5. We're currently at round 2. So that is exactly what we want. So now I can say Dirty Harry and Gord. And answer 1 incorrect. So question 5 is remaining. I have 3 and 5. Bam. So 5, 5, 3. It is beautiful. It works. Isaac Newton. Right. This is beautiful. It worked exactly as we predicted it would. Right. So and now we have open games still. Actually, we should make previous games and just have a small list. So if we go into the create game view, small 6, small 6, and then open games we should actually transform into previous games. right. And we will call this pref games. Pref games. Pref games. Because if you complete it yourself, you might want to look at the scoreboard. So that's fine. Subscribe. And we go into the subs, CG, subs, and then we have open games, right? Comes pref games. Pref games, right? CG db.closure script. There we go. Pref games, right? And we look at the events, probably in game. Open games, no. Create game events, open games, right? Open game success, previous game, there we go. Previous games and the rest. Let's see, pref games, open games. There's probably in the game, create game would be login. Get open games, Alright, so we reformatted that. Alright, so the get games, if we go into our API handler, API, games, get open games. I already called it that, that's horrible. CG PostgreSQL, open games for the username, and then CG queries. Get open games. The problem here is that it will return the game's users for which the it will return the game and the game user, but only for the one that has a user that has not finished the game yet. So I wonder if we can just yeah, if we remove this limitation right here, we will get all the games for a user. Let's leave the limit off right now, but we will get all the games for which this user into which this user is actually playing. So it could be games for himself or games for other people as well. So let's go into this one right here. Let's evaluate it. Let's see if we can just reload it here. Yeah, so there's, right. So now we have all the games that I played, where player one, right. Now we need to take care of that edge case. Let's quickly take a look. Right. That I played and game 87 has a player that is not finished yet, and game 88 should be totally finished. So we go back to our game.closure script. So this resume add part, right? We fixed this, but we should limit our actions to the state of my game. So if my game has 5 questions answered, it should, what should it do? If it's less than that, it should get the game questions, and else it should transition to game end. That's fine. Alright, don't think this is happening right now. The resume, it is done from the view, create game view. So if we look at resume here, it will filter the games for player 1, which is me at the moment. Because I don't have the ID yet. I keep saying this, we need to add the ID to it, don't do it, and then next time I say, oh, we should put the ID for the user there, right? I wonder if I can do that easily. Log in, close script, post to log in, and login success. We'll just do that. CG REST API handler, login. Logs a user in. Just says okay right now. Because it does not retrieve the ID. That's horrible. Alright. For now we will work with let's first make it work. So given that me here, I would expect if we print out me, create game entry, right? It's me. Right. So the click here, game ID 88, waiting for these players, but that's not entirely correct. But let's see. We want to resume this game, so that's fine. So we go to resume, which is in game. So let's see what we get here. PRN player state. Clean up. State. Thinking it does not get the proper data. From what I see, it has a list now, right? Yeah, so state is actually a list. So answered player state will be nil, right? Is that the only place that we use it? Then it goes into resume. Here it works. That's interesting. Let's see what it says. Answered player state. Perhaps the dispatch handler is doing some magic on it, and transforming it into a single entity. Yeah, it's nil, right? State first player state. that should be fine. Reload it. There we go. Player. Damn, yeah, right. So now we go to the leaderboard, which is fine. Right. And board. Yeah, we want to reload the leaderboard as well. So what we actually want to do is to say dispatch later. I think it's called dispatch later. Reframe day 8. There we go. Docs. Effects. Dispatch later, indeed. That's the built-in. Later, then it takes a map. Milliseconds. 10,000. I'll make it 5 because else we need to wait so long. So every 5 seconds, dispatch game end. Right, so then the leaderboard will refresh. And so if we are in the game for Sinterklaas, now we should see that in a couple of seconds it reloads. And it does not. Oh, that's interesting. Wonder if it's a full reload type of thing again. There we go. It's full 4, 5. Bam. All right. So now the as long as you're on the leaderboard, it will refresh the data as long as you're here. So now we are left with one more thing. And that is that Sinterklaas, the player 7, is not able to resume because currently the fuse, where are you? I have this limitation right here, player 1, and the REST API handler does not. We don't have a ID that we get back. API authenticate. I think this just returns true or false, right? Yeah. We have this get user from database. CG queries. Get user by name. We can add the ID here, right? That's easy enough. PostgreSQL. Right, get user. get user from the B. Yeah, so there's this function get user from DB, which will return us the user. We can actually make this part of the API, I guess. REST handler, right? So let's for now say that if you do a get on /login, tags users, there's no body params, but you need to be auth rules is authenticated, right? Current user becomes user, and we return a schema user, and that is, if we look at schema user, ID username. Beautiful. And now the thing probably returns the hash as well, and the hash is something that we don't want. So can we use select keys then? Closure docs, closure, closure docs, select keys. Alright, returns a map containing only those entries in map whose keys are in keys. Right, so we can do okay, select keys, ID username from API slash get. We had something in API, right? Get username or something. Get user from DB. Let's evaluate it. Get user from DB, and that takes a DB and a username, just like all the other things. Do we have that? Right. And DB username user, right? Wait. Yeah, username user, right? So that should work. So far so good. Let's check our development port 8080 API docs. We have a users thing, so let's first log in. Try it out. Beautiful. And now it should say one Aryan, right? Well, missing required key. Alright. It's not entirely what I expected, but let's see what's going on. That result, we need this, right? Boom. There we go. Let's include this one. Go back, results, schema user, and let's just do PRN results. Empty. Debug. So it returns an ID and a username, but it returns a list, I would think. No, that should be fine. Let's see what's going on. Let's add a log spy and say this is data, right? Log in. Probably I'm being dumb, and this should be data, and that should be that, right? Right, okay. So far for being awake. And went so well up to now, right? Let's see. Let's log in. See, now it says one user. Okay. So we have the endpoint slash login. So when we go into our login actions events right here, after somebody logs in successfully, we can say login get user, get user, right, as an event. Reframe register event X, login get user, then we get the actual user data. Cofacts, actually need the DB, so I can say keys DB. There's no event really that we care about. Let's just put the event right here. So we want to call that, but that's basically, you can get it from create game. The get request, let's see, there's plenty of them, HTTP get, right. It's going to log in. Right. So instead of this, we do a get on slash login. Keywordized, and on success will be get user success, login slash get user success, right? Register event DB, it's a very simple one. Login get a user success, right? And a function will be database assoc db. Oh, we get event probably. Do we even have a DB yet? Still? Right, yeah, function that. Funny that you see that most of the requests will become effects driven requests. Results. Do we have something in DB for this already? DB user. So user with result, which is keywordized, so user, and in the user map it will be ID. So we can say this should just work. And then on the view, create game view. Let's add a subscription. user reframe subscribe on the user data, and we go to the subs, and the subs will say, I don't know what the subscription is, that's fine. Reframe register sub user function db user db. Right, there we go. Reload. There we go. Given all that, since we have all this, we'll add it here. Say user. We should see it right here. We first need to log in, of course. Aryan test. All right. So now we have this user data. Beautiful. So now we can say create entry, previous game lists, previous games. Also takes our user objects. User create game user. There we go. Create game entry. Right, that's a user. And if it is the same ID as user, I'm wondering what I'm doing here. Yeah, well, I get the filter. It should always be the same, right? All right. So game 88 should go to the end screen. It does not. So. Oh. Beautiful. PRN a user. Oh. Huh? What is going on? PRN user. There it is, a hash still. That's beautiful. Oh, oh beautiful. I added it as an argument to the map, which is not what we want, of course. We want to have this and have it as an argument to the call instead of the map, and now it is user. Right, okay. So now it should be able to go to the leaderboards. Beautiful. Not what I want. So 89 we just created by just clicking the button, because the end screen, end game, CLS, ending the game, leaderboard. There's also a view for end game, and it has a button that says game create. But what we want is to say login success, I guess. CG login events. Yeah, login success. Then it goes to the game selection screen. Login success. And then after we finish a game, so let's have this game 89. So we test that as well, right? Cary Grant, poor fella. Rich Nixon. I will answer some false as well. That's correct. So 2 false, 1 good. That's correct. Create game, and it goes right here. I clicked something, I guess. Oh, That's interesting. Oh, yeah. So we dispatch the leaderboard. We have that queued. So currently there's no way to move away from the leaderboard. Oh, okay. So the leaderboard thing still a little bit. So this is not a good idea. Unmatched. Oh, yes, it's unmatched. Par edit for the win. And sometimes for the oops. Right. Be magic. All right, I should really be paying attention on this, right? Back. There we go. All right, magic. Magic is gone. All right. So this screen, this dispatch of this one, maybe we could do a JavaScript interval. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it for now. So when we create game, that's where we were at. Create game. So 87 should also go there, but synth class is still doing stuff, right? So this is all working right now. So let's log in as synth class. Synth class beat. So this is the game of synth class. We've been going for oh, we might actually finish it up. Yay! So synth class would have to answer questions still. So let's see what happens. 297. See if he can beat me in my game. Best actor. Yes. Tom Cruise. Yes. May come up and see me, Cary Grant. Yes. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. So synth class is seeing that he won above me. That's incorrect. Oh, that's. Let's see what happens in my session now. Yeah, so we see the same thing, and this button should actually go here. So I don't know why. Wonder why that did not happen for synth class. So synth class one here, and clicked here. All right, so probably code mess up. All right, so we can now say synth class wants to play a game against everybody. And of course synth class needs to win, because that is the rule. It's like playing with little kids. There we go, Peru. And Igor, so he wins 5 out of 5. Beautiful. So there's the leaderboard of that many games. And now we go to my game. There we go. You should order by ID. Yeah, we should order by queries. order by game ID descending. Always have to think ascending, descending, PostgreSQL. So it's retrieving it ascending, and we're writing it down descending. Okay, that's interesting. So if I do, all right. Why? It's a matter of reloading. Interesting. Let's see what happens. All right, that's odd. Very odd. How would that work? Create game view. So this is the game entry, the previous games. It's a list box. It goes into the create game. And I would think PRN game ID. What we should see is that go to console. 87, 88, 89, 91. Reverse. All right. Very interesting. So it's reading it from one side. All right. So now since class created the game, game 91, he has answered already. I think that's wrong. There's actually a fault in migrations. So let's answer a couple of questions. Something wrong because sync class needs to work. 5.4. All right, beautiful, beautiful. That I really like. So, what's next? Well, I started this series on the trivia game to get some insight into how this would all work and how the live coding would go. And we covered a lot of the basics of reframe and how you build up a game, how you structure your game. And I think it's time to up the ante a little bit. Yeah, the trivia game will only bring you this far, right? And it's a trivia game, you can play against people, and that's it. It would be fun to have more direct interaction going on at the moment. So I'm thinking about, or what I'm thinking about, what I've thought about doing is to call the trivia game it. Say, well, this is it for trivia. And what to do next is to actually create a more game-like platform with its own user service, its own game service, using WebSockets and observing games, using a very fun little game called Quantum Tic-Tac-Toe, in which you have multiple layers of tic-tac-toe being played to through a basics of quantum mechanics. So you basically create entanglements, and that creates the board for the tic-tac-toe. And I think that will be a nice next step. Trivia is, I would say, it's over, it's done. It's good enough. So many things that we can do more with it, but well, yeah, I think it's fun to have something more exciting that we can use. So what I did is I started drawing out what I want to do. Let's see the documents. So if we look at the quantum tic-tac-toe thingy. So basically what we did now, we created a user service. This user service goes and just authenticates in user session all this the user. But if you have multiple services, that doesn't work. You need some form of token to be used. So I'm starting to draw this out. So I want to create a game and a observer game. The user service will hand out tokens, and the game service will use those tokens to do all the games. We can add some more complex things like Redis caching and those type of things. So yeah, I think we should do that. I think that will be a very nice addition to everything. So yeah, let's call it quits for trivia. Let's celebrate that it finished. It's not entirely true that it's over. I'm going to write up this experience and the steps that we did in a small ebook that I will publish on my website. And that will take a little bit of time, of course, but so that should be it. Let's do a commit on this code. We're still in a live coding 13 branch because, well, we did not finish what we were starting in 13. Feature, multiplayer mode, previous games. Let's push it. And let's call this feature finish live coding 13. So we can push this to GitLab as well. And push it to GitHub because we have GitHub running in parallel. Let's check out the branch master. Do I have anything standing there? No. Branch check out develop, and I will build a release of this. Release start live coding 14. Right. Let's go to project 14. Right. There we go. Stage it, commit it, commit. Version bump. There's nothing else to do on a release, so that's fine. Features, release, finish, finish, live coding 14. Right. Tag release 14. So lots of actions going on here. So basically just creating a release target. I'm in develop now, so I should make it a snapshot again. Oh, CM, there we go. Stage it, commit version bump. There we go. Push. There we go. There we go. And now check out master. And this has all the release stuff in it. Push it. So 14 sessions of about hour and a half. So if you would actually do this in a day-to-day thing, you would be finished within 2 days, I guess. Don't worry about it. There we go. So yes, so rejoice, we finished our first project. Our next project will be a lot heftier, especially because we're going to use a more distributed thing. So we'll first start with a user surface which will have its own UI for login. It will do the token management, and then we continue on to a game service which will have the quantum tic-tac-toe. And perhaps easier to start with is to actually build our gameplay in quantum tic-tac-toe. So we'll use the same technology, reframe, to do this, and Neil would be the game observer. So yeah, very nice. I'm looking forward to it. Very happy that trivia is now finished. So very good. So yeah, I hope to see you next week, Friday. It will be the last session of the year, I think, because the week after that it's almost Christmas. The week after that it's New Year's. So next week will be the week of now. Let's start a new project. Yeah, I guess we can do that, and then we will end the year working on the quantum tic-tac-toe project. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again next week, Friday. If you liked the video, press thumbs up. If you've not done so, press the subscribe button, because then you will be notified when I upload new stuff. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.